Hey, at this week's episode at Nutrition's My Life, we are talking about the grocery store and all the confusion that comes with it. So definitely pen and paper if you are going to be heading to the grocery store this weekend. I'm going to be able to help you understand kind of some of the confusion that's out there, whether it be beef or the natural flavors, reading the ingredient list. We're going to go over a good amount of this. And yeah, I'm excited to kind of help you all understand what to buy when on your next trip to the grocery store. So we're going to start off today with grass-fed beef versus grass-finished beef. And to be completely honest, I had never heard of grass-finished beef until I polled my Facebook group and I was like, hey, healthy foods and healing habits. Let's talk about what you're confused with at the grocery store. And a couple people commented on grass-finished beef, and I have personally never seen it at the grocery store. So it might be something that they're trying to now clarify with the grass-fed movement that's been going on. And so if you don't know about this grass-fed movement, it's basically we're trying to get the animals to be like they were in the wild, right? When a cow is able to roam around and graze on the grass, it's going to have a healthier fat profile, meaning that it, instead of having a heavy saturated fat like profile, meaning more inflammatory, more of a risk of having heart issues or coronary artery disease associated with saturated fat, these cows have the ability to roam around, right? And what happens with us when we exercise, right? Our healthy fats move around as well. And so it's the same thing as animals. If we're going to have a healthy us, we need to make sure that they were taken care of too. So it does help to make sure that they have that freedom to roam around before they get into our bellies, right? And so both grass-fed beef and grass-fed beef and grass-finished beef have more of those healthy fats and less of that saturated fats than conventional beef. So conventional beef is just a cow side by side to another cow, right? Many times they're fed lots of antibiotics. Many times, this is the sad part, they also have like holes in their stomachs. The owner will put some holes in there because if they're fed tons and tons of grains, their body's not meant to digest that. And so they have to go in and reach out and remove some of this, some of those grains, and hence why they need more antibiotics and stuff like that. And antibiotics are not bad by any means. They are necessary for keeping, health, the flock healthy, right? The herd healthy. And so it is not this horrible thing that I think everyone thinks it's going to be. But what we can try to do is choose the animal that's had a better opportunity in life, right? Because if we then eat the food that has more omega-3 fatty acids, we're going to have a better chance of reducing our own inflammation. We're going to have a better chance of having our hormones go where where we want them to go. But the difference between a grass-fed beef and grass-finished beef is one is fed grass for the first half of its life. And then the second half of its life, it has grains, which is grass-fed, kind of misleading. But the grass-finished is they had their entire life with grass. And those grass-finished also tend to be older cows versus the grass-fed, they tend to kill them at a younger age. Obviously, I do eat beef, and I understand that this might be trigger warning for a lot of people and like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. But honestly, y'all, when it comes to beef, and I specialize in thyroid health, when it comes to beef, it hits so many thyroid supporting tools, right? It hits our iron, it hits some selenium, it hits the omega-3 fatty acid, it hits the zinc, it gives us some B12, right? It gets us a lot of what our body is needing. Now, am I saying to eat this every single day? No, I mean, we have our, I personally, we eat it like once a week. So last night, our grass-fed beef wasn't grass finished because again, I haven't seen it in the grocery stores. So our grass-fed beef, we made into some meatballs last night and we had some Asian inspired dinner and it was freaking fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And so sometimes what I like to say is like, people are like, oh my gosh, well, that grass-fed beef or the grass-finished beef is more expensive than the conventional. And that is true. But if what we're trying to do also is making sure that we're not having a portion size that's the size of our head, right? Most of the times that I work with people is that their protein portion size is way too big. And so if we reduce the amount of that protein to at least the palm of our hand or like a deck of cards, and we're doing that at all of our meals, we then have more space for antioxidants, other high fiber foods, right? Those healthy fats. And so it allows us to have some of those more costly foods so that we could choose a better choice of this beef, right? To have more omega-3 fatty acids to help with our inflammation, to help with our hormones, to help with our stress and whatever it may be, right? We want those omega-3 fatty acids. Like I'm constantly searching for those omega-3 fatty acids. But what we want to try to do is not break the bank also, right? So watching your portion size can actually help out making sure that beef will last. So I choose grass-fed beef at least once a week. If I start seeing grass-finished beef, 100%, I will go and grab that. But one of the best sayings that I don't know where I came up with it or when I first said it. I'm sure I'm not the first one that has said this, but it just really, really resonates with myself, and hopefully it does with you as well. But I'm doing the best I can with what I have, right? I'm doing the best I can with what I have. So if I can't afford the grass finished beef or the grass fed beef, it's okay to still eat beef, right? If I can choose the grass fed beef, even though it's not 100% grass fed its entire life, it's still the best choice that I can make at that moment because that is the only access that I had. So, and this works in multiple different ways. And that's a whole nother topic or another podcast, another YouTube, another topic. But it is something that really helps when we're going through improving our health. So the next we're talking about is milk and milk substitutes. So we're talking about dairy and dairy alternatives. And this one I know is a very, very hot topic for so many people, because when it comes to dairy right now, there's like the people are fear mongering, right? Like you can't have anything with this carrageenan or whatever it is, these ingredients. You can't have guar gum, you can't have xanthan gum, you shouldn't do that. And in reality, the xanthan gum, the guar gum actually helps out a lot of people in their digestion, and not that many people have an issue with it. Some people do have issues though with tolerating their dairy, their actual lactose, the milk sugar. And you'll hear arguments for, well, we're the only mammals out there that actually after a year are still having dairy or have all of this, right? And yeah, it's a nutrient dense food. It's a great source of nutrients for so many people at a low cost. Now, what kind do I choose if I'm going to choose a dairy? Well, if you're choosing milk that has dairy, I do try to do a low fat or fat free, because again, it's very rare that you can find a grass fed or grass finished, right? Cow, right? Or dairy. And if you can, that's the choice that we do want to make. But what we're trying to do is have more control over the types of fat that we're putting into our body. So you still enjoy that dairy if you want it. But I'd like to say, let's choose a low fat or a fat free option. So that way we don't have as much saturated fat, and we can add other things along your meal or day to include more of those omega-3 fatty acids to really help, combat that. So again, dairy is not the end all evil. But in large amounts of it, I have seen large amounts of dairy become problematic. I've seen large amounts of dairy become problematic because of the amount of calcium that it has. And this could be, equally kind of spread along to the dairy-free milks as well, because a lot of them have the added calcium in it. But the reason why I'm mentioning calcium is calcium can be constipating. So I used to see this frequently in children when I worked with pediatrics, right? When they drank tons of milk, right? They would just drink it all day long. And I mean, like I said, it gave them some great nutrition, but it also constipated them like crazy. And in my population that I work with thyroid, majority of the people tend to lean towards the constipated route or constipated side. So I don't want to add anything that's going to be too much. So I typically say about half a cup of dairy a day is, gives you enough to have cheese or cottage cheese or yogurt or whatever it is that you're wanting, but not overdo it. And then the other reason why the calcium can be problematic, especially in this population and just in general, is that too much calcium can actually block or inhibit iron absorption. And for my thyroid warriors, for all of y'all that are here following because you have a thyroid disorder, if we become anemic, that's going to, our thyroid's going to take a hit. That conversion of T4 to T3 does not happen very efficiently. And things kind of just, it's not a pretty sight. So I always, like I said, about half a cup a day. And also with that too, it does contain a lot of phosphorus. And so too much of that I've also seen because actually it does the opposite of what you might think, like, oh, it's going to give us like strong bones and everything. But if you go in an excessive amount, just like with anything, it actually can weaken your bones because it's too much phosphorus in it. And I have seen some people that have a very, very high dairy intake tend to have more of weaker bones and coronary artery disease. So yeah, so like I said, it's nothing wrong with it. I just like to limit it to about a half a cup so we don't have any possible negative reactions. So the dairy-free milks are actually low in nutritional value. I kind of like to equal them to like water, right? There's not much nutritional value. You don't find very many that milk alternatives that have a good source of protein or a high source of protein. And a good source of protein is 5 grams of protein or higher. So I love the taste of almond milk. I make my turmeric latte every morning with almond milk. I don't like the taste of cow's milk. I can taste the animal-y in it, and it's not what I like. So I do choose the milk alternative because of my personal preference. But again, if you like the taste of that dairy milk, I have no problem with you enjoying it. It's a great nutritional value. It's just the volume that we want to be aware of. So let's go in next to cage-free versus pasture-raised eggs. So many people are egg eaters, and they, again, are a fantastic source of nutrition, right? They give us some protein, they give us a little bit of fat, they give us some tools for our eye health. But what's the difference between a cage-free and a pasture-raised egg? Because, right, the cage-free should be good. It's a good option. It's out of the cage. It has to be great. Well, if you are on my YouTube and seeing this, you'll see a visual of a cage-free chickens that are just stacked, right? They're all over the place. They're all on top of each other. They're not in cages, but they're still on top of each other. Same thing as the cows, right? If they have that ability to walk around and be, the healthy version of themselves, like the way the animal should be, they're going to have better fat profile. So the omega-3 fatty acid profile is higher in pasture-raised eggs than cage-free. So I do tend to purchase the pasture raised when I can. There's random times where I'll go to Walmart and they don't have the pasture raised. So I choose the best option I can, which is the cage-free, because it's not that the other ones are so inflammatory and they're going to cause issues. It's just that they're lacking that anti-inflammatory. So it's, again, a lot of these things aren't necessarily bad choices. They just don't have the added benefit of those omega-3 fatty acids or something else added to it, right? Or not necessarily added to it, enhanced by their lifestyle, I guess I should say. So, and I want to piggyback onto that. And I know a lot of people that have hypothyroidism tend to also have a little bit more elevated cholesterol. It comes with the territory for a lot of them. And so you might hear your doctor say, how many eggs are you eating a week? How many eggs are you doing? And that's an old way of thinking about our cholesterol and everything, because yes, eggs do have cholesterol in them. But what we want to be aware of is that we're going to have cholesterol in our diet through what we're eating. Are you getting enough tools to help remove it? And that's where really that comes in. And that kind of ties into what I was saying earlier about making sure that protein size wasn't huge and that it allowed for more space of other foods. Because when we allow for more space for other foods, we have that fiber, that soluble fiber that's going to help remove that cholesterol. So eating a couple eggs a week is totally fine. I have no problem with it, unless, like I said, there is something else going on. And that's why everyone is individual. But this is a general, like, more than likely they're going to be fine for you. You just make sure you eat some other foods out there as well. Okay, so now we're talking about all oils, right? We're going to talk about oils. We're going to be talking about butters. What's the better option for us? I know that on this app, on TikTok, people are always going like, you can't have canola oil. That's so bad for you. Oh my gosh, that's horrible. But honestly, why are people saying this? What is the reason behind it? And the reason behind it is that they're saying that omega-6 fatty acids are inflammatory. And excuse me, in reality, they are not. The problem lies, actually, omega-3, omega-6 are both anti-inflammatory. They both have their roles at helping reduce inflammation. So when omega-6 become a problem is when they are an excessive amount in comparison to the omega-3 fatty acids. That's why those little changes that you do with having the grass-fed beef, with having the pasture-raised eggs, those little choices can actually help you making sure that your body has that proper ratio, because our bodies really like the ratio of a 4-to-1. So 4 omega-3s to 1 omega-6 fatty acids. But based on the American diet, it is more like a 1-to-16, like where there's so much omega-6 fatty acids in comparison to the volume of omega-3s that we're actually receiving and getting in. So that's when that becomes an issue. Okay. So having, like, the other day we fried up some cod, and we wanted to make some really good like fish and chips at home. So I fried food. Oh my God. Oh my God, right? Oh my God. But I use canola oil. And the reason why we use vegetable oil, very similar to canola oil, but we use vegetable oil, which is a mixture of different oils. The canola oil has like rapeseed oil. And the reason why we chose that was because of the smoke point. Certain oils have a higher smoke point. Like if you've ever tried to, I had a client not too long ago, actually, that was frying up her meats and stuff with olive oil. And I was like, ooh, are you noticing it smokes? Yeah, it smokes really, really fast. Well, that smoking of oils actually is cancer causing properties to it. So it promotes more cancer. So olive oil, if you heat it up and it starts to smoke, can be way worse for you than canola oil. Right? If you look at it like that. So this is why we have to be aware of the smoke points. And this is why I do go over, and talk about like, okay, if we're going to cook something in the oven at high temperature, I usually use avocado oil because it has a higher smoke point. If I'm going to be using something at a lower temperature, like after I'm done making my spaghetti sauce, I'll drizzle some really good olive oil all over everything. I still get the oil in that, and it helps out with the noodles, right? And I like doing that. It's delicious. And I'm not promoting cancer causing properties. I'm actually having now that anti-inflammatory through those healthy fats. So all of these things all oils can be a part of a healthy lifestyle. And there's a few years back, there was a big movement against like all oils, or like, I don't know, this doctor who wasn't anything in nutrition at all. And that tends to be what happens is, right? This doctor, I have a claim to my name. I'm a doctor. I can say whatever I want. And oh, y'all, I need to like like a quick little like detour. Can I tell y'all something? So there was this person, and I'm not going to keep blasting them. But there was a nutritionist on TikTok who was fear mongering everyone about don't do anything with citric acid and xanthan gum in it. You can't have, don't do it. It is going to be harmful for you. You're going to have more inflammation. It's going to be horrible. And she's referencing an article. And so when you see that, like the general public's like, oh, she has an article. Okay, that must be true. But here, science nerd over here, Nicole, actual food nutrition expert, went and I was like, let me see what that article is all about, because that's asinine. Citric acid is legit an antioxidant. Like it's a component of vitamins. I mean, of your like vitamin C rich foods, more like your citric acid foods, your lemons and limes and oranges and grapefruits, right? So it's a component, it's an antioxidant. It is fantastic. And she's saying that it was super harmful and really bad for us. But when we looked at the article, the first author was a plastic surgeon. So that was the doctor that she was trusting, was a plastic surgeon. Like, when does a plastic surgeon know food and nutrition? Like, they don't. They don't. The co-author of it, y'all get this, the co-author was a millionaire. He had like 62 or $68 million. I don't remember, an excessive amount, right? So he's an inventor. He was a philanthropist. He was all this. And so he's telling us, based on both of them, the plastic surgeon and this like inventor millionaire is now the expert in food and nutrition, scaring everyone. And you know what their research was based on? 4 people, quattro people. So now this lady is on TikTok spreading this false like narrative out there. And yesterday when I looked, and I can look today, but yesterday she had already had 818 likes. That means thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people had viewed it. This is where false like news and stuff is spread, just from people that are not educated enough to be like, hey, what's actually in this research article, instead of just, oh, I heard something about this, let me let me like Google something. Oh, a quick little Google. Oh, I can read the first paragraph, and then here she's spouting stuff out. And it is, I mean, and then the thing is that the people, and I know I'm on a tangent right now, but it really, like, this is just really, this is why I do what I'm doing and why I'm going over this right now. But she was recommending and saying that it was super harmful, and it's not. It is not. So now people are going to be going to the grocery store and reading all their ingredients and being like, I can't have anything with this in it. And so they're going to probably have to choose something that is probably $2, $3 more expensive than what they could have gotten. And so now their grocery bill is probably going to be double than what it was. And in reality, it is a preservative to prevent that food from molding. That's when it's bad. That's when that food is bad for you. So, I'm coming down from this soapbox. And we'll get back to their oils and butters and everything like that. But like I said, be careful of who you're following. Be careful of who you're following. All right. So when it comes to oils, when I would say like I use avocado oil probably the most, because I cook with it the most, because it has a higher smoke point and it does contain a lot of those omega-3 fatty acids. So that is that is a luxury for me to be able to buy. If you can only afford vegetable or canola oil, that's fine too. There is nothing wrong with that, right? But again, if we want to reduce inflammation, there are ways we can add healthy fats to our foods and kind of combat that. If you're here on my YouTube channel, you can see a bowl of olives and some avocado. So there are some foods out there that we can really start to incorporate to help our bodies and help us feel better. Because I know last week when, oh gosh, the allergies were so bad. Like everything here, pollen is like, it's yellow everywhere. My car's yellow, my my driveway, I go outside and I have to come inside and flush my nostrils out, because if I don't, I had like, my face just went woof, like a swole up. I had gotten some olives and I started just snacking on olives because they seemed really good. My face started feeling so much better. And guess what's happening the last couple of days since I ran out of the olives? My face is starting to hurt again. So it is just really cool once you start to find these foods and you're like, oh, they work for me. They're really helpful. So what about butters though? Like can butters be part of a healthy lifestyle? Can they be heart healthy, or do I have to choose like a plant-based butter? And what I answer that is, if you can find a grass-fed butter, like I personally use Kerrygold. It's an readily available one that I find in even Walmart. So that's the choice of butter that I use. Again, do I use butter on everything? No. But I like the taste of it. So when I do want to use it, I'm going to use a good quality one. I'm not going to find one that has all of those other oils in it, right? Because again, why it's not that it's harmful for us. It's if we're, Pauladining it and eating it like off, like like my son did when he was a toddler. A couple times I'd walk in and he was like taking a bite out of the entire bar of butter. Then that's when it becomes a problem. So I say, don't do those like, oh, it's better than butter, or that's smart balance and all of that stuff. When it comes to, if you're worried about it being heart healthy, choose the grass-fed butter if you can, and then make sure that you have enough soluble fiber foods throughout the day to help out with removing any cholesterol or any issues that you might be concerned with. All right, the next one that we're talking about is something that a lot of people are going to be really, really interested in: the natural flavors. Natural flavors versus natural ingredients. I know that some people might be like, oh, I try to avoid all the natural flavors. I try to avoid all of it. And I'm okay with some of the natural flavors and some natural ingredients. What I'm not okay with are those natural fragrance. Fragrance is way different, right? But that's not food related. That has to deal with the grocery store, because you go get some deodorant or some wall plugins or something like that. Those I'm not okay with. Those are endocrine disruptors, meaning that they will disrupt your hormones, right? Your endocrine system is your hormones. And with the natural flavors are actually an essential oil extracted from that food to enhance the flavor. So it can be like distilled, they can use vinegar, right? They can use all these things to extract a type of oil, that essential oil, out of that food, and then they'll put it into a food product to enhance that flavor. So it is totally safe and fine for us to consume. Natural ingredients provide a benefit, like to maintain or improve safety and freshness, to improve or maintain nutritional value, improve taste, which technically the natural flavor is as well, texture and appearance. And this is the sources through the FDA. And so with also natural flavors, when it comes to animal sources, at the FDA now, with new products that come on the line, they now team up with the USDA, and now there's two, entities kind of monitoring what's going on. So yes, could we be in a better place where we had all of these things that were just the way they came from this earth? Would that be awesome? Freaking fantastic. But some of these things help us make sure that these foods are shelf stable, right? I'm not to bring in politics into this, but there's a war going on right now. I know people's food chains could be disrupted already and could potentially be disrupted. So should we have some shelf stable stuff on hand? Absolutely. Absolute freaking lutely. So some of these things are not bad for us because they are going to feed us later on, right? They allow the food to be, in its healthy, natural form for a longer extended period of time sometimes, or they might enhance the nutritional value that might have been taken away when something was cooked or something like that. So all of these food additives and ingredients have a role into it. Now, with that said, what do I look for? What do I look for? I know what science is saying, right? That's what we go over everything. But what are some of the key things that I go over when I'm at the grocery store, when I'm looking through everything? I gave a couple examples here on YouTube on this slide. But for example, if I'm getting cereals, my kids love cereals for breakfast. They love cereals for part of their snack, right? We put it on top of our yogurts. We put it on top of our oatmeal sometimes. Cereals are fantastic. I don't know. Some people think they're horrible. I don't find them that bad if we choose the right ones. Right. So I do try to avoid, and not that many have them anymore, but anything that has BHT in it. Like what I actually have downstairs, I was so excited about because it used to contain BHT. It was like the Quaker squares or something like that. I don't know. I just remember like growing up and eating them and really enjoying them. And then I was like, ooh, it has BHT in it. But then General Mills went, I don't remember, a couple of years ago, and removed everything that had BHT in it. So I don't know if there's any others out there, but I still do kind of search if I'm not going to get like a brand that I'm familiar with, like Kashi or Cascadian something. I don't know. But there's a couple of those brands that I know, like, oh, my kids like them. I enjoy them. But I also try to aim for 5 grams or higher. Um, uh, I misspelled it, of higher, aim for 5 grams of higher, 5 grams or higher fiber. And so I do look at the ingredient list first, then I go up to the nutrition facts label. And then I say, okay, that one has greater than 5 grams of fiber, check. Then I make sure it has greater than 5 grams of protein as well. So protein and fiber, we always want to try to aim for 5 grams. It's like you're like, I don't know, at minimum, right? 5 grams of fiber or higher won't reach your fiber goal for the day or your protein goal for the day if you're just getting 5 grams at every meal, but it gives you more to help out with stabilizing blood sugars. That's why, and also keeping you fuller longer. I do try to look for things that do have minimal ingredients as well. And so I will compare what I've like, okay, a lot of times I first go to cost and I'm like, what's the cost per ounce or cost per serving, whatever it may be on the grocery store, right? I'll kind of look at that first. And then from there, I'll say, okay, based on the cheapest ones, which one have good qualities into them? So that's when I take them and I'll look at it and I can kind of compare what's going on. If there's some that have like double the amount of ingredients, if it's like intended because it has like herbs and spices and oils, and that's the reason why, for sure, that might be a good option. But if it's like where you don't understand it and it's like just chemicals upon chemicals, like I mean, we are chemical beings, right? Like certain things like oxygen in excess can be like harmful for us. So like take the chemical with a grain of salt. But there are toxic or harmful chemicals that we don't need at like high volumes, because when it comes to, I don't want to say food poison or anything like that. When it comes for toxic or harmful chemicals, it's the dose is the poison rate. So small amounts, like our bodies are fantastically designed to excrete and get rid of a lot of things. But at a high volume of certain harmful or toxic chemicals, that's when it becomes an issue. And really, honestly, I only really see this in things that really need to be heated up again, like your BPA stuff, like if it's any plastic or anything like that. And if you heat it up, that's going to be an endocrine disruptor. So if there's anything with phthalates, that's also an endocrine disruptor. So I try to avoid. So like if there's like that minute rice or something, whatever you want to call it, that you, is it Uncle Ben's or something? I don't use it, but you microwave the bag of rice, or you boil the bag of rice in that plastic. We don't want that. So I choose just regular, right, white or brown rice. And then I will rinse the rice and then boil it properly. So yeah, so there are a few things that we can kind of make smarter choices about. But honestly, if we're going to the grocery store and we're wanting to be healthier, there are some processed items that are helpful for us in the, oh crap, I need this because it takes too long to make all this other stuff, right? So processed foods are not horrible for us. Some are necessary. But if I'm trying to be healthy, reach a goal, do all these things, we do have to understand that cooking from scratch is a lot easier to control what you're wanting and to reach your goals, and to more than likely get it in a way that's going to be more cost effective. So get into the kitchen, have some fun, find some recipes, get on Pinterest. I have a few on my website, and just enjoy cooking and put some music on, have a little bit of a dance party and enjoy yourself. Cooking is fun, and the grocery store can be fun too. And sometimes if we don't know what to eat or if we don't know what to do, the grocery store can be overwhelming. But if you go in there with a plan and you know, okay, I'm going to just choose the best I can, and I'm going to, I know I'm going to be making some meals here. I can then put together a freaking fantastic meal. Part of it can be processed, part of it can be fresh, all of it can be fresh. I don't care. But what we're trying to do here is make sure that we are full, satisfied, and are reaching our health goals. And if you don't know exactly what food you're needing to eat, if you're a thyroid warrior, you can check out my book, The Healthy Thyroid Guide. It's available on Amazon, or you can sign up and we can get on a session together to really kind of dive deep into things, or search for dietitians in your area and get on a session with a dietitian. Dietitians are the food and nutrition expert. They're going to be able to help guide you where you need to be, and meet you where you're at too. So they're not going to like tell you to like wipe out your entire thing. Don't do what you're doing, right? No, they're going to meet you where you're at, share and show you how to like improve your health just by adding in some of these helpful foods that we went over today. So hopefully y'all enjoyed this, and I will be back for another episode next week at Nutrition's My Life. All righty. End.